have like a childhood like homemade food or snack that you made as obviously as a kid. But I do, and that for me is protein bites, and there's no really reason why. Like we didn't really make them for like the nutritional part. This was kind of just something that my grandma taught me. But so just for the sake of today and my time wise, I kind of cut the recipe in half. But the usual recipe would be a 2 cups of oats. So for this, I only did 1. And so for that, we'll add it into, I just got a smaller container. And then it'll be half a cup of flaxseed for regular, but since I had to cut in half, this is a 4th. And so for that, we'll add in there. And then I like to mix these 2 together kind of just to make the process a little bit easier. This part doesn't really have to be mixed together very well because it's all gonna get mixed together anyways. So in this container, I have a mixture of peanut butter, honey, and vanilla, just so I didn't have, because I halved it. I didn't really have containers small enough to be like normal. So in here I have a half cup of peanut butter, a 4th cup of honey, and a half teaspoon of vanilla. And for that, I'm just going to add that over here. There are definitely many different ways that you can like use to mix this. When I was younger, just to make it funner, me and my grandma, I would mix it by my hands, which as you can imagine, as a 6-year-old, it got kind of messy. But as I got older, I didn't like the mess on my hands, so I used 2 different spoons. So I would take like the spoons and obviously I'd mix it together. Then I would kind of just put the amount that I needed into 1 spoon and kind of ball it up in the next one. And then put it on a platter. Otherwise, I've made this so many times that like I would use just 1 spoon in my hand to make it more circular if you're trying to make it like, or a certain type of shape that you're wanting to make. And then for what I'm going to use today, just for kind of the sake of making it not as difficult to clean and kind of just for the sanitation part of it, I brought like an ice cream scoop, which is called a disher, the more professional way of it. I'm saying it. When my grandma would make this when I was younger, I would always sit there and tell her that I was going to watch just for the purpose so she didn't shorten any of the amount of the chocolate chips, which is something else, I guess. There are many, like obviously this is a no bake recipe, but I honestly, like you can eat it right after you make it, but I personally like it after it's chilled. It's usually not this difficult to mix together, but since it has been in the fridge all day, it's definitely more thicker. And then for the normal amount for the regular recipe would have been 1 cup of peanut butter, half cup of honey, and a teaspoon of vanilla. But as I said before, I halved it just to make this process easier. Alright, so now after you mix all those ingredients together, this is what you're gonna end up with. Kind of like a thicker dough. And then you're going to add your chocolate chips, which would have been a 4th cup, but I kind of just threw some in the bag because I don't really ever stick to the correct amount with the chocolate chips. Because why not? So then after that, make your way through this. It's definitely more thicker than I anticipated it to be. I tried to take it out earlier, but last hour I had to do it, and we had a geometry test. After mostly part mix. I'm gonna get some of this stuff out of the way. You're going to take, so you're gonna take your whatever way that you're going to make your little bites or balls or whatever, you're gonna go like that and kind of stick them on there. I typically always use like a baking sheet with parchment paper on it, kind of just to make the after process easier. And so if you leave them, like if you don't refrigerate them, they're not gonna like melt, but they can definitely stick to each other. And then you get like 4 different bites in one little part. And the fun kind of thing about these is like they're not necessarily hard. They're pretty easy. It only takes a few ingredients, but you can make them look nicer and you can do different things with them. And you can kind of, I was going to do it differently and add almond extract instead of vanilla extract. But short story, I actually, lemon extract and vanilla extract look the exact same in certain bottles. And so when I made a batch last night, I definitely added lemon extract into it and not vanilla extract. So I had to remake this twice. But and usually like a normal batch of like the not half size that I'm making right now can make up to 30. Well, made up to 30 using this. So that is how that worked. So this is not very organized because I didn't bring a huge pan, but that is that. And here's kind of your finished product. It's not perfectly bald, but I couldn't necessarily get it like that. You would think I could because of how thick it came out. But, so after you get that, these are kind of finished product. I can show you these. So these are after they've been chilled, and I've had more time to make these, but this is what they turned out to be. So the reason why I chose these to make is because this kind of just shows that you can have something as your, you can make something in your childhood and still enjoy it to when you're older. Doesn't matter if it's necessarily food or just a hobby that you have. But, yeah, thank you for listening.